Hi there. It's that time again. There are the maximum possible discounts available on my courses at Udemy, and my newest course is now available, the complete guide to Hypermodern Chess. So if we click on this, if we go to Kingscrusher TV, you'll see that there's these discounts applied from these particular links. So if we click on this, we see that there's a discount code applied. You can see it here. This one, mid-January best, is applied. That's why it's at such a great discount. Okay, so this guide, it's kick-started quite rapidly, actually. Even before this video, there's already 24 students. So that's interesting. So I really like Hypermodern Chess because we get very interesting openings for a start. Not just symmetrical, e4, e5 or d4, d5 all the time. And one of the most successful hypermodern openings has survived the test of time very well, the Nimzo-Indian defense. And I thought it would be interesting to actually look in depth at the games of Aaron Nimzovich, extract key themes, as well as look at the other hypermodernists and also their opening legacies, talk about the hypermodern openings as well. But this course is largely about the themes actually from Nimzovich games. There's an introduction though, 3 hours too, introducing hypermodernists and catalysts of hypermodernists like Siegbert Tarrasch, and how its reaction basically to the classical school of chess. The classical school of chess was itself a reaction to the romantic era of chess. So we have a great hypermodern legacy. It pervades, modern players is often using hypermodern openings and ideas. So you can see in these themes which I've extracted from some of Nimzovich's absolutely best tournament results, there's a number of themes which echo also some of the teachings in Nimzovich's My System book. So there's a lot of themes covered, and towards the end you'll see actually particular openings also, especially the Reti opening, with Reti playing it as example, these classic Reti games. So yeah, we do have other Nimzo-Indian games in the course for Nimzovich, so this is just more token nod to the hypermodern openings. And okay, so it's an interesting course. It's got quite a bit of content, 26.5 hours at the moment. These courses can evolve, so I can add new sections at any time basically. If you feel something's missing, let me know. So the description, you can see the description. If you want to see the free previews, by the way, so you go to this and you just do expand all sections and you can get a preview link. So if you click on that, there's a preview of that, and there's a preview here. So there are some free preview videos to check out once you expand all the sections. So that's the usual case for all my courses that expand on Udemy. If you do expand all sections, you can see the free preview videos. So I hope you can check them out. I also did quite a popular article, a blog article on Lichess you might want to check out as well, which I'll give a link in the description. So essentially I'd like to say something as well. So Nimzovich My System, it's a kind of particular flavour in a way, you could argue, because the hypermodernists did experiment with their openings. They got interesting new territories. So in the Nimzo-Indian, the ability to double pawns quite frequently sets the stage for things like blockading the double pawns, restraining the opponent's pawns, and other stuff in My System. Nimzovich also, by playing the Nimzovich gambit against the French defence, it features basically an overprotection of the e5 square. So I mentioned some of this in the blog actually, that Nimzovich's My System is kind of a positional book, but with quite a few hypermodern themes, which would result from trying to make the absolute best out of hypermodern openings. In chess it's all in follow-up. So what is the actual spirit of the Nimzo-Indian when you double pawns? Restrain, blockade, destroy, or restrain, blockade, and attack the opponent's king on the king side. So I hope you do also check out the blog article which has quite an interesting discussion as well attached to it. So, leave comments in the blog as well. So, yeah, I really enjoyed creating this course. I think without the Hypermodernists, we will be stuck playing mostly symmetrical openings. We wouldn't be entertaining other stuff. And, of course, against 1d4, the Hypermodern openings seem, far more engine validated, actually, than against 1e4. So one reason for that, when d4 is played, e4 is a bit of a vulnerable square, whilst if you play 1e4, d4 is not so vulnerable. And things like the Nimzo-Indian are really highlighting the e4 square as example, putting pressure on e4 with bishop pin. If that's allowed, then say b6, bishop b7, it's all the e4 square. So perhaps there's an extra kind of incentive there to play in a hypermodern way, especially against 1d4. So I'm not saying you should rush out and play against 1e4, things like the Pierts or modern. They're a bit riskier than against 1d4 in my view. And statistically, the stats bear that out. So it's interesting, the hypermodern legacy, but for me it's much more than just particular openings, as I mentioned in the blog. It's the follow-up concepts that you can use in middle games, like undermining the center, blockading, prophylaxis, restraints in general. So yes, very, very interesting course. Hope you do check out the sample previews. I hope this is interesting for you. Okay, comments, questions, likes, shares appreciated. Thanks so much.